So the countdown to this year's World Cup is well and truly on as 32 nations combine to create the greatest sporting spectacular on the bloody planet. But in this video, I'm going to try and answer you one simple question. Can Iran win this year's World Cup? That's right, folks, back once again with another World Cup summary video. That's right, where we're going to try and answer one simple question. Can this nation actually go out and win the World Cup out in Qatar? We'll take a look at it, all of it, in a second. Of course, if you're new, where you been, smash your subscribe button, bang it, all things World Cup related, Blabbing Rovers related, world football itself related. We got it all here, boys, under one roof. Of course, the countdown is well and truly on, with the tournament set to kick off in November 2022, of course. But what's going to happen this coming World Cup? We'll take a look at all of it in a second. Of course, big shout out to my VIPs. They are the patrons, of course. And if you are interested in helping out the channel in another way, check out the links down below. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Twitch, I'm on Patreon, and of course there's a Discord in there. So get in amongst it and let's get chatting. Next up we have Iran. That's right, of course, coming at you from the Asian qualification phase. I will elaborate on how they got there in a second. Of course, Iran, of course, qualified as AFC winners of Group A. That was in the third round. Of course, they had a long journey to get to that stage. Of course, they secured the deal back on the 27th of January 2022. This is their sixth tournament for Iran. The last was back in Russia, 2018. They were there, unlike the United States, unlike Italy, I think Italy were there, weren't they? Unlike the Dutchlands, of course. So their third tournament in a row, so well done for them for making another tournament. But they've never, ever made it out of the group stages, of course, back in 78, 98, 06, 14 and 18, of course. So will it be a 6 on the trot? It's looking likely, but let's give them a bit of hope here, of course. They are, of course, let's take a look at the graphic down here. We'll have a look at how they qualified. They qualified over the likes of Cambodia, of course, way back when, Hong Kong, Bahrain, who did make it difficult. And, of course, as you can see, just 3 points separated Bahrain, Iraq and Iran from getting through as group winners, or at least qualifying for the next round, the third round, of course, of the qualification phase. They actually qualified with a couple of defeats on their resume in that first one. Second phase, or the third phase, should I say, they were paired in a very, very difficult group up against Lebanon, Syria, Iraq were back in there, of course, United Arab Emirates, South Korea and Iran. But as you can see, if you look at the graphic here, they were, with them and South Korea, completely different sort of talent than the likes of the other four in that difficult six-nation group. So they came out on top, 25 points on the board, 2 points clear of South Korea, but they were both home and hosed into the World Cup itself. They didn't have to go through no back door, no fourth round, no nothing. So they were there, and of course, just the one defeat on their resume, which I think was against South Korea, none the same. Dragan Skocic is your manager there, of course, over in Iran. Their VIP is Mehdi Taremi. Of course, keeping him in the squad will be absolutely massive. Their key match for them is against the Welsh. Of course, here is the group right here, right now. It is Group B. They are partnered up against England, the United States, and of course the Welsh. Now that match is actually match number 2 for them. They kick off their group against England, where I'm sure they're expected to lose that game. If I think all the Iranians around the world will enjoy that match. No, don't get me wrong. Seeing some of the world stars from England, and of course maybe reveling in a bit of making things a little bit awkward for them. But I do think England will win that game. But the Welsh game is their World Cup final. If they can win that game, that puts them in a bit of a strong position heading into their final game, where it's a straight shootout. Then I think for the second spot between themselves and the United States. Of course, I think Iran, I'm not going to lie to you right here now, are fourth favourites for this group. And again, you're going to ignore that England game. The England game is a free pass. If you were to get a point, if Iran were to get a point against England in that first game, that is like winning at least the World Cup. You know, it's like a mini win for them, because no one's expecting them to get anything out of that game. They're expected to get turned over quite convincingly 3 or 4-0. Yes, but if they were to get a point, that puts 1 point in the bank. Then it'll put extra emphasis on that Welsh game, where, of course, realistically, on paper, if you play that game, Wales against Iran 100 times, Iran are going to pick up about 30 of those wins, I think. 30 wins. They have a 30% success rate, in my eyes, to beat Wales on that day. So if they get one of those 30 and get the win, Of course, that makes 4 points for Iran out of a possible 6 heading into a USA game where anything can happen. They could play for a draw, get a 0-0 draw, and that might be enough for them to go through to, of course, the second round. And then, of course, break a hoodoo. That's spanned since 1978. But realistically, do I think Iran will do that? I don't think so. It's going to be a tough old order. It is, of course, a group dominated by England. And again, you're looking at Iran being fourth favourites. But I do think they're going to be difficult. They've been difficult to play against in the qualification phases, of course, over in Asia, and I think they're going to prove to be difficult for USA and Wales to break down. And then the same, they are actually 4-1 to qualify. It's a long shot swing. Of course, there's only 4 teams in the Piston group. 750 to 1 to go out of the way and win the tournament as a whole. So Iran, of course, unfortunately, they've got this group. And again, if we did redrew the groups, Iran are going to be down there as one of the 4 or 5 teams likely to get thumped, turned over. They're not expected to do well here. But for me, I'm just happy that they're there. Iran are a proud nation of Asia, and I think they're going to be difficult. They're difficult to break down, and you just don't know. There's going to be 1 or 2 surprises in this World Cup. Could Iran be one of them? Well, Linda, I think I'm ready for you to ask me the questions.
Can they win the World Cup?
Can they win the World Cup? Again, never say never. But really, are they in the Power 8 to be considered as contenders in my eyes? No, I don't think so, unfortunately. So I don't think they can.
Will they win the World Cup?
And of course, I don't think they will win the World Cup. But can they get out of the group stages? That is the World Cup question for Iran. Can they do that? Of course, that monstrous game against Wales will define whether they're successful or not. And if they are to get through to the knockout stages, you know, park the bus football will become commonplace for Iran. They will try and grind it out, try and make it 0-0, and of course drag it to penalties, where we've seen some lesser nations of previous World Cups go further than they expected to do as well. And again, if you do that, and again, let's hang on, I've just painted over the cracks here. Let's remember where this World Cup is taking place. It's taking place in Qatar. The terrain and the climate is very similar to that of Iran. They are, of course, familiar with that terrain, familiar with that climate. They should be able to play with confidence and ability with that weather and the conditions. The likes of the Welsh, the English may not appeal to them whatsoever. So again, that adds to the belief and the strength of Iran in this group. But ultimately, I do think they're going to make it 6 on the trot for a group stage exit. So unfortunately, and again, there's no disrespect to Iran, I just think the group is too difficult. I think there were ways to do a redraw perhaps for Iran and have them qualify as probably a second strength team here, or the second strongest team. But I just think the Welsh and the United States are just too powerful as it stands. But don't get me wrong, of course I'll be watching from the sidelines and seeing if Iran can surprise us all with a performance out in Qatar 2022. So there you have it, folks. There you bloody have it. A short take on this nation's chances out in Qatar 2022. What do you expect this country will do in this year's tournament? Do you think they'll get out of the group stages, or do you think they'll go deep into the competition itself? Let me know your opinion down below. And of course, we'll look forward to non-stop coverage right here at Blackburn Overseas. We're going to have, of course, predictions, previews, reviews, reactions, and of course, reactions from real fans themselves, of course. So that's all to look forward to this year out in Qatar 2022. So make sure you smash your subscribe, smash the thumbs up, and smash the little bell, boys and girls, as we look forward to a fantastic winter, or at least late 2022 of world football. Let me know your thoughts and opinions again about this nation, and of course the tournament itself in the comment section. But until then, guys and girls, I'll see you soon for the next one.